special shout out to our sponsor, Qualia. Qualia is the category-creating digital closing platform used by thousands of lenders across the country to seamlessly work with their title and escrow partners. By working better together, Qualia is powering lenders to deliver a differentiated closing experience for their clients. Through real-time communications, closing status updates, and workflow management, Qualia brings lenders together with home buyers and sellers, title and escrow agents, and real estate agents for a secure and seamless closing experience. Qualia is proud to have been awarded the Housing Wire Tech 100 Award for real estate, as well as CB Insights FinTech 250 Award. Discover how you can work more efficiently with your title and escrow partners at qualia.com/innovators. That's QUALIA.com/innovators.
Greetings, everyone. If this is your first time joining us, welcome to the Mortgage Innovators podcast, where we deliver fresh and hopefully fun and entertaining insights on all things mortgage and the innovation that's propelling our industry forward. My name is Margaret Chiavini, and I am with New Res Correspondent Lending. And you can find us here every Tuesday with our rotating group of co-hosts, or what our producers have dubbed the Innovative Five. Each of us share our unique connection to the industry, and we always look forward to the conversations. And I am joined today with my wonderful co-host, Michael Guidotti. Hi, Michael.
Hey, Margaret.
Hey, we have a fantastic topic for our podcast today. We're actually going to be talking about how communication is the foundation of innovation. However, before we get started with that great conversation, I just want to make sure that all of our listeners know that our Mortgage Innovators Conference in 2022, this year, the Power of Innovation is back in person. And you definitely want to experience this conference. It will be on May 2nd through the 4th at the Hilton Anaheim. And for the latest information on registration, sponsorship opportunities, head to mortgageinnovators.com/conference. That's mortgageinnovators.com/conference. Okay, all right, Michael. So this is a pretty cool topic. How communication is the foundation of innovation. And, we talk a lot, or have been talking a lot in the last few weeks as we entered into 2022 about, some of the things that we can expect this year. Some of the challenges on the volume side, the margin side, the needs that companies have for innovation. And so this is a perfect topic to really look at, foundationally, where do we need to innovate? So may we begin kind of kicking off this conversation with, when we say communication, from your point of view, what do we mean by that?
Yeah, I think, for me, you hear communication and you hear all different, references to it. Is it phone calls? Is it text messages? Is it, giving a daily update, as it relates to lending side of things? And, for me personally, I look at it as really three key pillars, and it's visibility, accessibility, and understanding. When somebody's looking to work with a lender, or somebody's looking to really engage with anybody, right? Those to me are the things that I'm looking for. Don't just talk to me. Make sure that I'm understanding exactly what you're, saying. Don't just send me something saying, look here. So I think for me, it's really those key three things, that I'm thinking about.
Okay. And, when we look at our industry, in some ways, we've had so much innovation in the last few years. I mean, when you look at our industry, you look at other industries, we're kind of archaic. Yep. And sometimes it's fun just to have a dimension of our conversation where we compare our industry to other industries. And would you mind kind of giving your perspective and tying it back a little bit to your three pillars, the visibility, accessibility, and understanding our industry versus some others?
Yeah, it's so, for me, it's funny because we look back at things, that have transgressed really over the last like several years. And I always go in and tag like certain articles and things that stand out to me. So I was actually thinking about one and I was able to find it. And it was really something that came from the M report. And this was from back in like 2015. And it is the best innovators recognize and capitalize on the opportunity presented by an increasingly ineffective approach to develop new capabilities to meet the needs of the marketplace. Mortgage financing has really reached this stage. So that's us acknowledging, back 7 years ago now. But yet here we are kind of talking about it. And so to me, I really look at, right, they say that, kind of, copying is one of the best forms of flattery, and really, what have some of the other industries really done in this space? You think of the hospitality industry with Airbnb. They don't own hotels, but they book more hotel rooms and properties than probably any other single place that there is. Why? That innovation of connecting people with that, again, visibility, accessibility, and understanding. You know exactly what you're getting into. You're accessible. You can do it from your phone, your app, you're checking in, you're unlocking the doors to the place that you're staying at, sometimes from your phone now. You look at, one of the largest transportations, Ubers. Yeah, I know those are ones that we have talked about for years, but I'm even thinking from the pandemic, what's another one? One of probably the biggest gyms out there now is Peloton. And where's one of their buildings? They don't have one, right? It's all online, and because accessible, it's visible, and people understand it. It's like, I'm going to a virtual workout in my house.
Yeah.
And 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 so to me, it's really looking at how we're going to, apply that, in the mortgage industry, and really understanding, who are those people that need to be part of that communication loop. And I think that that's something, is, as we talk more and more about this, I think we're going to start to see some of the traditional ways that we've looked at it are really going to blossom into other categories that we haven't maybe talked about as much before. When I think about that, traditionally, when you hear communication during a loan process, Margaret, what are the three people that you kind of think of in that process?
Yeah, I mean, I think of the loan officer, I think of the borrower, and then, I think of the ops people that ultimately are going to help to, get the loan to underwriting.
Yep.
And, and there's tons more.
Yep. And I think that's where traditionally that's what we're looking at, right? It's primarily the lending side and the borrower. It's like the loan officer, hey, I got to check with my underwriter, or we got to wait for it to get to underwriting. You always hear that piece of it. But now I think it's really too how the real estate agents play a factor into that, and what's the communication that they need throughout the process. That's our referral source. That's where us as loan officers is getting a huge bulk part of our business. So are we communicating, giving them that visibility and accessibility and understanding of really their clients that they're entrusting us with? How are we communicating with, this is maybe more state-based, but we've got attorney states where you've got the attorneys that are involved in the loan process and drawing docs, and then we've got our settlement and title agents, and now that we're seeing more and more technology give us access. Now you're seeing insurance even able to be, ordered during the process, through apps and technology, and having that information come directly into the system. So there's just so much that's going into it, but I just see this really evolving more and more with the more people that are involved, and that's the unique part I think in our industry is, it's not a 1-to-2, it's not a 1-to-1 ratio. It's not just a company providing a single service to a single person. It's 5, 6, 7, 8 companies that are all involved in one single transaction.
And kind of in the spirit of brainstorming or having fun or thinking about, how things might be in the future, wouldn't it be neat if the realtor in the example you were talking about, if they had complete visibility? I mean, kind of metaphorically, like the Airbnb example, where they can actually see what's going on in the house and the tour and all of that. with exactly what's happening with the transaction and with their borrower and everything where they are. We have it to a degree digitally, and it may develop where it's literally images, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and right, and you're seeing certain systems and softwares out there, kind of gamifying it, almost creating kind of the game out of it, or you're watching, the little puzzle piece move around the map as it, gets through the transaction. So I think we're going to see, more and more of that. And I think, where for us, it ties in as well. And I think you brought up a great point as it relates to, the real estate agents wanting that complete visibility. I think that's where the innovation is going to come from, is around, how do we make sure that everybody that's a part of it, again, any of those 7 or 8 companies, have the visibility they need, but then also from the regulatory standpoint, not the information that we're not allowed to give them. There's certain things that we're able to maybe see on the lender side that we're not able to share with, other parties that are part of the transaction. So I think it's having those connectors and those systems in place to, be able to give the information that's needed at the right times, but also while protecting consumer, data, because I feel like that's going to be something that, is only going to get more and more, important and, visible, from the regulatory standpoint.
Mm-hmm. I also loved what you said, that inherent in, communication is that people have to understand. And the real estate transaction is a very, very complicated transaction, from, to your point, all of the legal requirements as it relates to disclosures on the property, then on the loan, and, the way, title is taken, and all of the ramifications of that. So to the degree that the communication includes, for each stakeholder in the transaction being able to understand what's happening, not just the individual piece, but also how does that fit into the big picture, that's a tremendous opportunity really for innovation.
Yeah.
What I love about innovation and the topic of innovation is that it really is a way of looking at things. It's a way of thinking about it. It's a way of taking a problem and finding a solution in a very, very elegant way. And, because you've given us these 3 really cool pillars, that communication in its essence is making something visible so the other person can, quote unquote, see what's happening, making it accessible so they feel like they can, gain access, and then finally understanding so they're a part of it. And I can see why we really say that communication is the foundation of innovation, because if you don't have those things, you can't really go anywhere else,
Yep.
That's neat. So we are kind of coming close to the end of our time, Michael. I'd like to just kind of wrap up our conversation by asking you, you're always a fun one to ask these, because you're in charge of the tech stack for, just an incredible mortgage company in our industry. And so you have the perspective of seeing things that many others do not have. Where do you see the greatest opportunity for innovation as it relates to communication?
Whew. That's a full session right there.
That's
No,
true.
I think, I think it really is around, the back end, parties of the transaction, being really, how are we getting the data back and forth and between, the lending side, the real estate side. But I think right now, which is extremely important, is around, the title and escrow side, and the settlement agent, piece. And I think there's some, great companies out there doing, tremendous work in that space, Qualia being one of those. But I think that that's where there's still one of the biggest opportunities, is just tying the various parties in the transaction somehow through one system, or connectors between those systems, but one ecosystem to really have that visibility of where things stand.
That's great. And you're right. That's a whole session in and of itself for sure. And I know I talked a little bit right before we started our conversation about reminding everybody about the Mortgage Innovators Conference, which is going to be at the Hilton Anaheim. And I just want to say that I think it's going to be such a powerful platform to be able to explore all of these things that you're talking about. You know, day one, we're going to really explore the whole notion of initiation, that's setting the goals. Day two, we're really going to talk about the action plan. How do you execute on those goals? And then day three, really, what does your organization look like after implementing those? And I think it's perfect. And what a great, great topic on communication, as far as even the foundation of what we can talk about at the conference. So, Michael, thank you. Always love talking to you. I appreciate you being here.
Likewise, my friend.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you very much for listening to today's episode. If you liked what you heard, please make sure to subscribe to the Mortgage Innovators YouTube channel or wherever you podcast. Until next time.